Now, my next guest's life was turned completely upside down last year when her son, PC Andrew Harper, died trying to stop a quad bike theft just 4 weeks after his wedding day. His killers were convicted of manslaughter last month, and Debbie Adlam is now calling for tougher sentences for anyone who causes the death of a first responder whilst committing a crime. And she joins us this morning. Debbie, thank you so much. I know it's been a year and this doesn't get any easier to talk about, so we very much appreciate you joining us. Like we say, it was following the first trial's collapse due to lockdown, and the second trial then took place. And these 3 men were convicted of manslaughter. Their ages being taken into consideration when it came to sentencing at the time. We'll talk about that in a moment, Debbie, but firstly, just how did you and your family, we just mentioned Andrew was married for 4 weeks, how did you all cope with this trial and having to listen to the details involved?
The trial, obviously we had 2 goes, as you say. It was something I dreaded before it started, but I was determined to be there throughout. So you kind of put yourself there for Andrew, so I did it even though it was painful. Hearing the details was just much more than I expected, much worse, but I had to be there for Andrew. So once we started, you had to carry on. It's been the worst time of our lives, but it's something that we needed to do, and I've been there. I've listened to everything that's been there to be said, but absolute nightmare. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, ever.
And you've described, Debbie, how Andrew's killers showed no remorse in the court at all. I mean, that's particularly difficult to deal with as a mum.
Yeah, we've sat and watched the offenders larking around throughout the trial. They don't seem to have taken it very seriously, which has been quite shocking for me. But then at the end, they actually were celebrating, which was really painful to see as well. You know, at that point, we were just devastated and felt like Andrew hadn't been treated with the respect that he should have had for losing his life, and then to see people celebrating about what they'd done was just, it's just shocking beyond belief, really. Yeah.
I can only imagine, Debbie. And I mean, you lose your son, then you're going through the courts, you experience all of those things. You haven't had a moment at all to sit back and just to grieve.
No, we've now obviously got a stage further. We're trying to just be patient. We're waiting to see what happens next because there are appeals in place. So many of the public have been absolutely amazing, contacting their MPs. Lots of people have been in touch with the Attorney General. So she's had to look into it and has decided that there is a case to be looked at for undue leniency. So we're grateful for that. We're waiting for a date to find out when that happens, and hopefully something will come of it. But you never know in this situation, you never know, because as it can go up, it can also go down. And also the people responsible for Andrew's death, they also have the right to appeal, which they've chosen to do. So, you know, we're still on the knife edge knowing what's going to happen at the end of all of this.
Mm-hmm. Well, Debbie, your real focus now is your campaign. What are you hoping to achieve?
Yeah, we're trying to look forward. You know, the actual appeal process is going ahead without really any of our needing to be involved with that. That's been taken care of by public feeling. So what we've really focused on now is to try and change the law for people going forward, because I know, as everybody else knows, you know, there's no way that Andrew's going to be the last person to die on duty, and it's for the next person that comes along and anybody after that. That's what we're working towards. So our focus now is to get the sentencing guidelines changed, to help out when the judge is put in a position where he has to work to his guidelines. We would like those guidelines to be a bit more appropriate for a case such as this. So what we're asking for is a minimum of 20 years and upwards for anybody. If an officer, any blue light officer, it doesn't have to be a police officer, but if they can be given a mandatory 20 years plus sentence with no options for being reduced for age or early pleas, then that's really what we're looking for, because you need to look after these people. They're putting their lives on the line every single day, and we need to look after them.
I mean, the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, has reached out to you, which must give you some sort of hope about sort of getting to where you're wanting to be with this, Debbie.
Yeah, we're really grateful to her. I met up with her in Glasgow last year at the annual memorial, and she wrote to me a few weeks ago. So to try and see her in a couple of weeks is going to be amazing. Just to talk, see what her suggestions are and see where we can go forward with this.
Well, Debbie, I have to ask you as well, there have been various reports this week, and I must stress they are reports, they haven't by any means been verified as yet. But 2 of the men convicted in Andrew's death are supposedly, according to these reports, wanting to write a book. How do you deal with that, if that is indeed true?
It's another slap in the face, really, if it's true. To me, it just shows the total lack of remorse, which, we've not seen any remorse anyway, but it just further adds to that and the pain that we're suffering as a family. I've heard only yesterday of parties going on when the verdicts were given out and the sentencing, and then the appeals. We can't sit back and grieve. We've got this going on continuously. Every day seems to bring something new, something more painful, and we're trying really hard to stay strong, but we're breaking at the same time. So we're doing our best.
Debbie, what do you think Andrew would make of all of this? He was obviously a law-abiding citizen. He loved his job. I mean, what was he like as a son and as a character, and what you think he'd be trying to tell you today?
Well, he was very committed to his job. He liked to make sure that people weren't being treated badly. He's done some amazing things. We've heard some brilliant stories about what he's achieved and how he's helped people. I've got no idea what he would make of all of this. He would just be, as a person, I don't like to think about it, because I think it would just break his spirit to know that this has all happened since. And again, that's just really painful to think about. But he was a fun-loving, adventurous, humorous person, and I just think he wouldn't recognise the world at the moment. It's changed so much since we've lost him. With the COVID issues on top, I dread to think how he would feel. But I know he would still carry on doing his job. He would be out there pushing forward to try and make things right. That's what he was about.
Yeah, and he loved what he did and always did, Debbie. Debbie, I have to ask you as well, you've created this very special friendship with Charlotte Charles, who we had on the show earlier this week. She, of course, lost her son Harry Dunn in this terrible motorbike accident. She and her family are still trying to fight for justice to bring Harry's killer back to Britain to sort of face charges here in Britain. It's a year to the day, in fact, that happened. I'm guessing it must be a special bond because it's someone that absolutely gets what you're going through.
Yeah, we're going up this evening. We hope to see them later on. I think unless you've been in this situation where your child has been killed, it's difficult to really associate with somebody and know that they really understand a little bit more about how you feel. It reaches every part of your life. There's nothing that's untouched by this. and I think you're naturally drawn to somebody who's been through something, particularly being 12 days apart, that draws us together. And to be honest, I've found a bond also with Tash and Daniel's family. We met at the Old Bailey going through the trial, and now I think we will always be in touch with each other because their son was killed soon after Andrew as well, and I think you need people to bond with that have the proper understanding of how you feel. But Charlotte, I mean, she's got such a way ahead of her still, but they're making leaps and bounds. It's all thanks to Ratziger, who's helped us all enormously. And I think we all love him to bits for what he's doing to help us keep our strength and keep us going.
Mm-hmm. Well, Debbie, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. I know it's not easy. We very much appreciate it, and our hearts go out to you and your family. We know it's such a difficult time, and let's hope you get exactly what you want in terms of your campaign as well. Thank you so much, Debbie, for talking to us this morning.
Thank you.
Don't forget, you can watch full episodes of Lorraine on the ITV Hub and all the best clips, compilations and playlists right here on our channel. Just subscribe now and you'll never miss an upload. Click here to watch another video similar to this one, or click here to head to our channel's homepage to explore all of our exciting videos.